And we're back with episode 15 of the podcast. If you can't tell, we've got another rather large individual in the shot with us. With us today, we've got Mr. Dylan O'Brien. This is our first ever guest episode. Thank you for jumping on, man.
No problem, man.
Yeah, appreciate you coming out on a sort of an informal, no planned basis. We asked you to do this, 2 days ago?
Yeah, I'm a pretty flow guy, so
Okay,
works
this
well.
works out. I'm
Yeah.
glad you're so flow, bro. Dylan is definitely an authority in the fitness space for science-based nutrition training and lifestyle habits. Certainly someone that a lot of people look to for how to do shit correctly. So the goal really today is just to have a conversation with him about his life, why he does what he does, get to know him a little bit better, and ultimately share some valuable insights with you, the listener. For the Spotify people, Yusuf and I are going to be sharing a mic, so the audio might be interesting at times. We're still a couple of broke boys and only have 2 microphones. So we're going to kick this off with why don't you share a little bit about how we all got linked up, because it's kind of an interesting turn of events.
Yeah, so I'm big on networking right now. I'm young in this space. I've been in the industry for a while, but with my age, I've been trying to networking a lot more. And I would see Yusuf on my For You page. I saw a video where he was saying something about protein intake and like pump size of protein. It's one of his viral videos, and I saw him, and I saw his post where he's like, "Hey, I'm at the compound doing my burpees," and I slid up on it like, "Hey, are you local?" And he just responded like, "Yeah, I'm local," and he followed me back right away. And so I saw him at the gym the next day, and I just walked up to him. I was like, "What's up, man?" Had a chat, and then we actually started lifting together. And once we started lifting together, we realized we're very similar. It was great. We were both into coaching. I was just starting to launch my coaching. He's a lot more advanced than me, so I kind of was just picking his brain. He's very nice and helped me out a lot actually, and I've used a lot of his advice actually still to this day. And after that, he said, "Hey, I'm working with this guy named Mike," and I was like, "I've seen his content. He looks a little bit like the Tism," and he's like,
What does that mean? Look like the tism,
"So when you have the Tism, it's someone that lacks emotion when they speak on content."
bro.
I would say in his car, he would say, "Yeah, I just completed my 48-hour fast, and people don't understand electrolytes are necessary to hydrate." And I'm like,
I am a little bit void of emotion, I
and
guess.
so I like that a lot. I actually attach to a lot of people that I always say a touch of the tism because they're so direct to the point. And I was like, "Oh my God, I love that guy. There's no way that's your coworker." He goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "Hey, I have an opportunity since you helped me so much. Do you want to join my company as well?" Because with Echo Vision, I have the opportunity where I can recruit people that I think are good for the brand. And since you guys are so educational based, it just was an alley oop where I was like, "Oh, that's perfect." And so then after that, Yusuf was supposed to come down with Mike to Texas, but Yusuf had some issues personal wise. Do you care if I say like
No,
rent and
go
stuff?
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. So he had rent issues. He had to figure out his lease and all that stuff. And so Mike only
I
went.
didn't have rent issues. I was renewing my lease.
Sorry,
Jesus Christ.
bad way to
Dylan's
say
actually
that.
just admitting that Yusuf's broke.
No, bad way of
Just
saying that.
kidding,
No,
I'm just
bad way
kidding.
of saying that. Yeah, renewing his lease. Sorry about that. Did not mean to say it like that.
Just a stressful situation of like, where am I going to live?
Yeah,
next?
yeah. It was just that. Sorry, Yusuf. And so after that, Mike came, and we just immediately just like that clicked. And ever since then, it's just been amazing. After that,
You probably gave me to date, and what will probably always stand as the most backhanded compliment I've ever received. You were like, dude, I really think your content is so good and you're so successful because you just speak void of emotion and you sound a little bit autistic when
Yeah.
you talk. And I was like, thanks, I think.
I'm
Did I just get-
extremely to the point when I speak to people at this point in my life. I don't know why. I feel like the more direct you are with humans, it in turn always benefits you.
Yeah, no, we talked about that on the last episode, is that being direct with each other as business partners has worked really well. And I'm starting to jive more with people who just say what they think.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's why you and I have gotten close pretty fast. And
Yeah.
like, I definitely consider you a good friend
Yeah,
now, is
same.
that you just tell me what you're thinking and how you're feeling. And I'm like, yeah, there's no fucking fluff there.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing to segue into your content of why people like you, is you're very matter of fact. We all kind of have the similar vibe of this is what it is. This is how we do it. If it works for you, great.
I think we are different in the aspect of you're more holistic and I'm more on the aspect of building muscle and purely, I wouldn't say purely for the muscle because I do lifestyle coaching. So I'm both in areas, but I like to dive more my tism into the literature of building muscle rather than just the holistic side. I actually read both sides. Me and Mike have actually had like great conversations about it. I just post about muscle growth, but I love reading literature of all sides.
I was gonna ask you for people who, because I hadn't seen your content before, you and I met in person, and once I followed you back, when you follow someone on social media and all of a sudden, you see all of their posts pretty much across your feed for the next couple of days, and
post.
Yeah. How many times a day do you post, by the way?
I was when you first followed me like 5 times a day, but now I'm down to 1.
Holy
Yeah.
moly. So for the people that haven't seen you or seen your page before, maybe coming from our audiences if they've never seen you before, how would you describe your page and what your mission is?
Yeah, so I focus almost directly on small tips and tricks. I was very for advanced people, and I realized that's not a great niche to be in. I did extremely literature backed things. I'd break down studies, and I'd break down very small nuances that would give you such minor results. And I realized that was such a niche audience, and the people that were consuming that were already so advanced. It's like, what's the purpose of them learning it? So I want to hit a broader audience, and I switched to more of a mainstream approach where I'd say like, hey, here's how to be in a calorie deficit in a better way or ways like that. So it's a lot more of a common knowledge thing for the mainstream audience to hit the 99% rather than the 0.1%.
Mm.
So that's what my audience is now, is like videos like 3 tips I wish people knew after 10 years of lifting. These are the 3 biggest things I wish you learned. That's like my most recent video. And those things are like focus on the eccentric while you're working out, focus on getting your protein and stuff like that. Very simple things.
I got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
It may be the elephant in the room.
What a
You've had your social media account banned several times.
20 plus times.
Yeah.
Like, really? How many times?
What's the story behind this?
24 times.
What's this? Get out of here.
Yeah,
Are you being serious?
Yeah, 24 times. Yeah. I don't know why. The first time I got banned, I had 500,000 followers, and luckily it wasn't a main income stream for me. I was still working like normal jobs. And so I
How old
lost.
were you? And how old are you now? Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, I'm 21 and I was 19 when I started social media, and I got 500,000 followers my first month on TikTok, and it was quite
Your first month.
It was quite explosive, yes. And it was just because I made a couple of videos. I don't know if you guys seen it. It's I call it the Noah Beck ab trick, where I can flex my abs.
Yeah.
I remember this. I remember seeing this in like 2020. I remember seeing you on my For You page and be like, why is this insanely viral?
Yeah, so the videos would get 30 to 80 million views every time, and I did 3 videos in a
What?
row. Yeah, I did. And
30 to 80 million views is like
yeah,
world trending.
3 times is also that's almost the entire population of the United States.
Yeah,
that's actually
so
crazy.
when I did that, it was actually discouraging when I posted a video that wasn't the ab trick, and I was like, oh, it only got 2 million views, and like looking back at that, I'm like, what an idiot. Like, and so I got that following, and I honestly didn't know what to do with it. So I was making trash content, in my opinion, where it's like physique reviews of my followers, or here's what Arnold could have worked on and stuff like that. I was so niched on like what my interests were, because I love bodybuilding, and at the time I'd only consume bodybuilding content. So I was posting pretty trash content in all reality. So it wasn't a big deal that I lost it, but it hurt, obviously. Losing 500,000 followers, you're like, what am I going to do? And thankfully, I switched to almost a humorous side of fitness, where I would make fun of people that give really bad advice. And then after that, I just went on to so many niches.
We need more of that.
Yeah, and so I just went on to so many niches of just like hyper specific things and providing humor to it. Like, what's the benefit of having legs? And it's like pros and cons, and the pros is just your legs are big, and the cons list is like down the whole list. And I was like, they would just be like that. And then on this account, I'm very proud of building my audience purely off education, which is something I never did on any other account. And so it actually tested me, where I would have to read a lot of literature every single day. I would read for at least 2 hours, new studies and stuff like that, just so I'm not the idiot in the room and I want to catch up. And so I did that for about 3 to 4 months. And I would say confidently, I know more than most rooms I walk into. And so that's why I've provided on this account. And this is the proudest I've ever been of my followers. It's not the biggest I've ever had. It's 200K or something like that right now, but it's the proudest I've ever been of it. So, yeah.
I got it. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you, where in your life, when you look back, you just mentioned you got on, you read literature for 2 hours a day. I went through that phase for a short moment. Why do you love it so much? Like, what got you started in absolutely loving getting that deep in the weeds, loving bodybuilding, the active training? Like, where did that all start for you?
I'm very weird on learning stuff. I'm hyper specific on things I learn, which I need to work on, but it's also a good trait to have, to hyper focus on something. And so when I put my mind on something, I really like to be the best in the room. And so I would consume a lot of TNF's content. And so I was watching TNF and I was like, okay, he's been training the past year doing this, and it's substantially getting better results than me. And that pissed me off. I was like, how is
I took that personally.
I was like, how is this way of training so much better than me? And that just turned into so many like studies. And I was like, okay, I need to learn the most I possibly can. All these small nuances, like doing your lengthened partials, so your contractile tissue on that movement is fully to failure, not just mechanical
Would you
failure.
describe TNF really quickly to the people who don't know who
Yeah, sorry
TNF
about that.
is?
TNF is this guy. It's training, nutrition, fitness. His name is Joel. Great guy. I would say he's one of the few people I would consume his content and question my own content after consuming, because he actually knows to the point where it's actually a scientist. It seems like a PhD type of guy on how he breaks down literature. He also went to school for it and all that stuff. He's been posting for a good he's been posting the same amount of time as me, but he's kept it all education the whole way through, and it took a really long time to build up. But nowadays I would say he's the king of fit talk or TikTok on literature. You go to, yeah, you would go to him for any advice, and if he stitches my video, I feel a little nervous where I'm
Yeah.
like, what did I say wrong
He
here?
does that a lot, by the way.
Yeah, he loves stitching me. He even tells me, he's like, it's great for views, man. People love seeing your face. I'm like, thanks, man. It means a lot. Love that.
Mm. One thing, by the way, not to one last thing, one bullet point on TNF. I remember seeing his content about a year and a half ago before I started posting. And TikTok, we've talked about this, is a very sensitive place. You piss off one person who just happens to be very insecure and having a bad day, and even if they are a bot, like as a person, they will take you down and they will comment something, they'll report you. One thing TNF did is he stood in the face of adversity, aka, I'm going to be careful with my words here. Let's just say a disenfranchised population that was holding on to a lot of excuses, overweight women. TNF
I think he
single handedly stood in the fire and explained with a straight face what hunger was, and it's your choice still.
That's what I was saying. The touch of the tism helped so much in that area,
Ah,
because he stuck with literature and never insulted the person.
never.
And so that helps a lot, because anyone that gets challenged, you want to get off subject and attack them, because it gets under their skin and it gets more of a reaction, which is really bad to do in debating. And TNF has always stuck to just the facts, and I think that's why he's never been banned. Because I've gone into battles like that, and that's why I've lost so many accounts. That's why I've lost so much, because I've go into so many battles. It's almost like I'm controversial, but it's not controversial. And I would stay on the subject, but I would say I crack a joke and to like provide humor to keep the retention of the video. TNF never did, and that's why it took so long to build the audience. But since he's built it off
He's the authority.
literally nothing except for facts, that's why his audience is so strong.
Yeah. So the question originally was, how did you get to, what was the question originally?
How did you get started training? Like, how did you fall in love with this? Even before the content and seeing TNF, like you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
You haven't been creating content for 10 years. So where did it really start for you and why?
It's such a boring story. I wish I had it, because that's like the number one question I get in my DMs. Like, what motivated you to start? Because they want to hear something that would be relatable to them. And it wasn't never come from like insecurity or bullying along those lines. It purely was because my dad called me fat and made me go to the gym every day. That's quite literally what was why. Because I was overweight when I was 12 years old. I was 160 pounds in sixth grade at like 5'2". So, like, I wouldn't say severely overweight, but overweight for my age. And he just forced me to go to this clinic, a very expensive clinic, and every single day for weekdays we would train for 3 hours a day. This guy that was extremely science-based lifting, so I immediately had perfect form, perfect intensity, everything right away. And it almost became like a control thing after that. I had a severe eating disorder from probably 12 to 17, maybe even 18. I had a severe eating disorder because it was like, I can control my diet. And I think that's what happens a lot with eating disorders, is like, you want to have a control aspect. It comes from like overbearing parent or a controlling parent always has an eating disorder in the family. I've learned, at least with my clients, I'm like always finding the issue of the problem rather than like, hey, you have an eating disorder. You want to find what's causing it. As fitness coaches, it's almost like you're their therapist sometimes. I'm sure you've dealt with that too.
We've had this conversation with clients before, yeah.
You have to find the root of the problem. I think that's what a good coach is, rather than saying, eat more food, eat more protein. Figure out the issue at first. And so I think the issue was just a controlling parent, and I wanted to get my own control. And it took me 6 years to get out of it. I was eating like 1,200 calories for years, and it stunted my hormones. I stunted my growth. I started getting gyno right when I started eating calories, because I got puberty.
Yeah, I
And
saw you make a video about how you basically went through delayed puberty at like 17, 18.
yeah, 18, I grew 4 inches, I got gyno. If you don't gyno is, it's a buildup of estrogen because you produce too much testosterone in your body. It happens if you take steroids or if you have an extreme puberty in males. So I had an extreme puberty and my squat went from like 315 to 485. My bench went from 185 to 325. My deadlift went from like 225 to 465.
at 18?
I went from 160 to 210.
If you've never seen Dylan's content, Michael and I are both 26. And Dylan absolutely casts a shadow on us. Like, Dylan is larger than us. What's your height and weight?
I'm 5'11 and a half from a doctor the other day.
They didn't want to say 6'1" or 6.
Yeah.
Say 6.
And what's your weight?
204.6 this morning.
Dude, and you're absolutely huge. What's your weight, Michael?
I am 6 foot. We're going to go with that. I'm 6 foot and I'm 189 pounds right now. So you're 5 years younger than me. And you've got smooth 15 on me.
Well, I have a decade of training under my belt, though.
True.
You guys are giving me a good amount of.
The one
love
thing is
here.
there's no 21-year-old who is as naturally large as you.
Thank you. I
That's
appreciate that.
very. So the one thing is too, when we were playing beach volleyball last weekend, seeing you, I told you what I said. I was like, this dude's California. I'm like looking at palm trees behind him, and like you see the hair and the flow. Dude is built like actual like retro Arnold, and it's just like actually insane because I don't think he's really humble and modest. He's wearing a blanket right now because he didn't want to get sweaty ass cheeks on my chair, which is really nice of you.
Thank you.
But also, you're wearing a large pump cover, and your arms are filling it.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Appreciate you guys.
So can we just
promoting
talk,
me here.
talk about, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, you said you had early form or you had great form from an early age. Yeah. How did you get this big at 21? Tell
I
the
would
people
say
about that.
the research has really benefited me in the past 6 months. It is astronomically
Last 6 months compared to the previous X years?
9 years. Yeah.
Really?
I would say I've made more progress in the past 6 months than I've made in the past 4 years.
And what did you do to get there?
Yeah, you did something.
So I switched my training to science-based pure training rather than just enjoying the gym. I switched from enjoyment into the gym to purely functionality and effective training. And that is high intensity training. High intensity training is where you go to absolute failure, not full mechanical or full muscular failure. You just fail with good form. I also add the heavy partials, which is full muscular failure, which you could add because the literature shows lengthened partials are extremely beneficial. But that's all these nuances I don't want to add. So I switched to that, and I just do 5 to 8 reps every single set because the literature shows there's an exponential growth chart for the last 5 failure reps is what builds muscle. So I only do 6 working sets, which I've done with Yusuf. Yes. Have I done with you yet?
Oh yeah, we did. We trained chest at Alpha Land.
Yeah, and so I only do 6 working sets at the gym. I'm in the gym for only 45 minutes, and let me tell you, I've never been stronger, never been bigger. I actually even tested like my body in a caloric deficit, and I still gained a sufficient amount of muscle
in a deficit.
I was eating 1,800 calories, and I didn't lose a single pound for 3 weeks.
Wow. So it can be done if you are optimal as fuck
and
intentional with your training. So
After
that's another
9 years of training as well, not newbie games.
Yeah. So what changed in your body weight, your body composition, like in that 6 month span?
So I went from weighing my last cut, I was 177 lean, and then I bulked to 204, and I cut down to 180. So I only gained 3 pounds of lean mass in a year. That was That's from high volume training, enjoyment in the gym, enjoying my life as well, not eating for pure functionality. I still would eat for enjoyment as well. And so I went full into literature, and I tested myself and did an experiment because there's a big myth in the industry of metabolic adaptation, which most people know as starvation mode, where if you're too severe of a deficit, you'll lose muscle and your body will adapt to that calorie intake and you won't lose any more weight, which is just caveman brain. Because we're not hibernating. Our body doesn't. People over exaggerate metabolic adaptation. It does happen.
Yeah, but it's not as severe as people think.
It's like 100 calories, 50 calories, not thousands of calories. I went from eating 4,200 calories on my bulk, so I was probably in a 300 calorie surplus. So my maintenance was probably 39, and I went to 1,800.
A lot of people think that the metabolic adaptation is a lot of times it's their reason to put up the white flag, and they don't see it as, and they go, "It's not for me." So when they cut and they plateau and then they no longer feel sufficient fuel or torque in the gym or ability or even just zest for life. I assume this is where a lot of people, for me, fortunately, and I've been one of those people, fortunately, I've been able to break out of that cycle just by going through nutrient dense and whole foods. But for you, has that translated into any content that you've pushed out? Right? Have you been able to find original takeaways in your experience that you've
Yeah.
been able to share since?
So people say what you were saying. I think I discovered myself after 6 weeks of eating 1,800 calories, which is a severe deficit for me. That's like a 2,000 calorie deficit, which I never ever
So your
recommend.
resting is what?
39, at least when I was 204. And so I was 204 and I ended at 194. That's only 10 pounds in 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. I can't remember exactly. Only 10 pounds is nothing compared to the deficit I was having. Just like laws of thermodynamics, that doesn't make sense. I should have lost a lot more weight. And so during that time, the only answer would be I gained muscle. And I know for a fact I gained muscle because the measurements of my body, I was very due diligent on my homework beforehand, did my measurements, I did my strength, I marked all my strength down, and I gained strength. I got bigger in my muscle and I didn't lose any weight. I was the exact same weight.
So your measurements went up
Yes.
on tape and your strength went up.
Yeah.
And one can assume, especially if your strength is increasing, you might be gaining lean tissue, but if your measurements went up, you definitely fucking gain lean tissue.
Yeah. So I think the big thing I discovered was after 6 weeks of doing it, I noticed a drastic difference in my energy levels.
How so?
I would have to mentally prepare for the gym hours beforehand, and going to the gym was my daily task. I didn't think of anything else. I didn't have to deal with my clients. I didn't have to deal with anything. I wasn't doing coaching at the time. I had a lot of time on my hands to fully do this, and this is why I never recommend it for anyone, because I prepared everything. I ate all my carbs beforehand, only 50 carbs a day. So I had my 50 carbs before the gym.
Good God.
I had my caffeine before the gym.
A cup of rice a day.
Yeah,
Literally a cup of rice.
everything was made for that workout, and I mentally had to prepare for the gym, and I had to push to a level where I would have to use past trauma to work out during that time.
That's so dark.
Brother brought up demons.
And so
literal demon time.
And so I believe those last 2 to 4 weeks was why people lose muscle in caloric deficits, because they don't stimulate the muscle to stay there. Your muscle's there because it's stimulated. You're tricking your body into saying, I need this muscle. Caveman brand this right now. Just simplify it to it.
Caveman brain.
I always like to explain like a third grade level. Why do you think your body needs muscle? It's because you stimulate it thinking that you're hunting or something, and your body needs that muscle to survive.
You give it a reason to stay.
So if you're not stimulating the muscle in a caloric deficit, meaning you're doing higher reps, less weight, your body's gonna be like, oh, we don't need this muscle anymore. So you start losing muscle. Even if you have your protein intake, you're just not stimulating the muscle properly. And that's what I really realized. I was like, wow, I really have to push in the gym right now to keep this muscle and to gain muscle. Even if my diet's perfect, the stimulation matters a lot here.
Yeah, that's something. For some reason, there's a weird modality. It's a bro science myth that, oh, when you want to get big, you train low reps, high weight. When you want to get lean, you train high reps, low weight. It's like, no, train the fucking same way. Whether you're trying to grow or trying to get leaner, you should always be training like you're trying to grow.
I think it's just like I don't know if you've ever heard of V shreds. It's the people that.
Have I ever heard of V shred? Bro, I made a couple of videos about him that performed well, but I took him away because I was worried of getting a strike against me on TikTok.
So I think people like them that attack pain points and make them feel better about it as coach, that basically scan their audience like, oh, you're endomorphic, mesomorphic, ectomorphic. People that do stuff like that,
feeding into bullshit.
it feeds the BS, and the BS goes more viral than the correct content, and people like them only care about money, which hurts people like us that genuinely just want to perform for our clients and give them the best results. And we provide content that's quite literally science backed. And it's not nice to hear. It's not nice to hear saying, bulk or cut, do the same workout. You don't want to hear that. Oh, when you're working out, you shouldn't change your exercise that much. You don't want to hear that because it's not fun.
Typical V shred ad that you would see is, oh, if you're not burning body fat, it's because you're not training and eating the right way based off your certain body type. And take my body type quiz, and that's the part that it's like, oh god, nails to a chalkboard.
Yeah, and so it's just things like that it ruins the fitness industry. Like,
it poisons the well.
Yeah, I mean,
it absolutely poisons the well.
The fitness industry has a horrible reputation.
That was going to bring me to my next question. Actually, well, it wasn't my next one, but it is now. I want to know, what's your take? I have a very specific take that's changed a lot since I got on social media and gained some notoriety. And it's that I don't believe that the fitness industry is about fitness anymore for a lot of people. Like, people look up to guys, I won't name anybody in specific, but that are just hopped on gear and they're eating, a crazy diet when they're bulking, and
I
it's
know
not about
exactly what you're
health
talking
yeah, well, it's not about health anymore. It's not about the fitness industry. It's about
Mm.
looking jacked, and people get unrealistic expectations because they're on gear. My question to you is, gear being steroids, what is your take on the landscape of the fitness industry today? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Where do you think it should change or improve?
I think it's hitting the most mainstream it ever has because of TikTok. It is getting the most views ever. You'll see mainstream people like Noah Beck and Faith Ordaway. These people are mega followings, millions of followers. They go to the fitness niche because they know the fitness niche is very monetizable. It's very easy to scam your audience. It's also very easy to stay consistent. Go to the gym, put a sound over your video, flex. Very easy content, brain dead content. And so I think it's good that people are focusing on their health more than ever in history, in my opinion. It's in their eyes, it's in their face a lot more. That's the benefit of it. But the issue is it's hitting such a younger audience where they idolize the people in gear and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that. And I'm even getting to the point, but I am also someone that has been in the industry since I was 12 years old, and actually 11, but weightlifting at 12. And I know the difference between health and bodybuilding. And I'm teetering on the point.
It's a great distinction.
Yeah, I'm teetering on the point right now where my diet, I would have to eat, for example, for 2 weeks straight, I've had a pizza for breakfast just to get 2,000 calories in, right like that.
Wait, tell you're doing 5,000 calories.
Yeah,
a
I'm
day.
doing
Yeah,
5,000
let's talk
calories.
about your diet and training right now. You're
Yeah,
bulking,
so
right?
yeah, I'm doing the distinction currently to my body. I'm getting my blood works done regularly, though. I'm doing my due diligence again, like I always will. But kids are not doing that. They
No.
idolize people that eat like crap, and I try not to put it in their face. I say with a warning every time, don't do this diet. I'm only doing this because my body, I am pushing it to a level that it is not comfortable doing
Yeah.
because I have a goal in mind that I can only do by doing this.
Yeah, so training for health can be the same. I mean, I've always trained low volume, high intensity for years now using reverse pyramid training. It's easy to do that, but you took it to a new level with me. I'm now doing more after training with you in TNF in Alpha Land. I'm doing more bodybuilding stuff. I was such a barbell zealot before, but now you've got me doing more more isolated style movements, and I'm liking it.
It's just effective.
It's so effective. So I'm curious. I want to talk about your regimen right now. You're bulking through. You bulk through summer. Bold move. So
Wait, and he has abs, dude. You have
yeah,
abs.
you still have abs at 204, which is
Well,
crazy.
I'm blessed in the body fat distribution genetic category where
Where
I
do you
hold
hold it?
lower back, man, lower back
Same,
and back.
same.
So I'll always hold a 4-pack minimum. I could be 30% body fat and I'd have a 4-pack.
Lucky fucks.
It's almost like the Eddie Hall effect. I don't know if you know who that
oh
is.
yeah. The world's strongest man.
He'll have a bubble gut, but have a 4-pack or a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And I have the same fat distribution, I guess, genetically, where I hold fat in my arms, lower back, areas that are beneficial for me.
So let's talk about your diet and then your training split. So what does a day of eating look like for you? Calories, protein, what types of foods?
So I don't want to recommend this to anyone. Doing a warning beforehand.
Thank you for that. Good
Yeah,
disclaimer.
yeah. So I'll just do what I did yesterday. I woke up and I had a 2,300 calorie pizza and
Where from where? How did you?
Vons. It's clearance deal. 99 cents for 6 pizzas. Big saver over here.
Dylan's also very frugal.
So I have a lot of pizza in my freezer right now. So I just put it in the oven. I checked if they had certain oils, and that's all I did for my due diligence. And it was a good pizza. It tasted great. After that, I had some flink steak, not top sirloin this time. I had 500 grams. So I was already over my 200 grams of protein for the day. I just hit it. I just try to get a gram of protein per pound I am, especially in a caloric surplus is not as important because you're in a surplus. Your body's not attacking protein cells. And so after that, went home, made some pasta. I made a whole box of pasta and put pasta sauce on top of it. A whole box is 2,000 calories, by the way.
Holy shit.
And then
What kind of pasta?
the one that was easy to consume, like the small shells. I'm at the point where I'm trying to indulge in the food so much where I eat it so fast I don't feel the fullness hit me yet. So
Right.
that's the easiest way. Because if I have the ones that have a hole in the middle, holy crap, it's so hard to just put it in your mouth. You have to like
You're
hit.
going from you're maximizing,
Speed.
minimizing bites and maximizing speed.
Yeah. So again, horrible thing to do. If you want to be healthy, chew your food as much as possible. Take your time eating. I always tell my clients to eat with your left hand because it actually slows. It's actually great. Builds coordination and slows your eating. Pro tip for anyone here. That's some free advice for you guys. Eat with your opposite hand.
I'm a
As-
lefty.
So if you sign up for coaching with Dylan, he's just going to tell you to eat with your left hand.
It's not required. It's just like a pro tip that I've noticed when I'm cutting. I always eat with the opposite hand. Builds coordination, helps you slow with the eating. But then after that, for my late night snack, I think I had 2 servings or 3 servings of cereal, and so that was the full day of 5,000.
So you're not. I would based on what you just told me, I didn't hear a lot of like whole natural foods outside of the flank steak.
Pasta. It's just
Pasta, I guess, is the whole food.
Grains.
Yeah. When you go into a caloric deficit, does the amount of like meat, protein, fruit, veg, does that go way up?
So I actually haven't determined what I want to do for this cut because I enjoyed the severe deficit because it was shorter and I love challenging myself. I feel like I'm very masochistic in that sense where I love to challenge to the point where I feel the pain or feel the effects of the cut.
It's good to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't
You know
know
yourself through that.
I don't know what method I'm going to do because I've done both methods. In the long, drawn out way, I get quote unquote better results because my training is more consistent all the way through and I don't have as much of a crash at the end. But what it typically looks like is all red meat for the micronutrients. If you guys don't know, if you're in a caloric deficit, it's very good to have all your micronutrients through red meat. It's a lot better for you rather than lean meat, which is counterintuitive if you think.
Like chicken breast?
Yeah, you would think it's better because it's lower in calories for more protein, but the micronutrients is more important. The fats is very healthy fats. It's animal fats, which regulate your testosterone as a male, and females need their fats, all these good things that you get. So I eat only red meat, and I only eat for my fats is oils, nuts, or avocado.
So really important point there. Common myth that red meat is going to cause heart disease, raise your cholesterol, make you feel like shit. I don't know about the abundance of literature going against that now coming out, but I do know anecdotally everyone who eats more red meat feels far better.
There's a recent one even about saturated fat.
Okay, can you dive into that just a little bit?
Yeah, they did a study on the saturated fat, and if you eat at a maintenance calorie or a calorie deficit, and you're not in a severe surplus, it kind of concluded that if you're in a severe surplus, no matter what you're eating, it will cause issues for your body. But it actually had no blood clot increase, no blood pressure increase, your cholesterol no increase. All those it was baseline, normal, healthy, everything. And it was a carnivore diet, extremely high fat diet, and extremely high saturated fat diet with cheese and everything like that. And there was no side effects.
There you go. So I tell all of my clients, our clients, to eat more red meat. A lot of people struggle on cuts. I know anecdotally I struggle on cut when I eat more chicken breast, and when I eat more red meat, I feel better. We took a client of ours, Kyle, who's been on TRT as a 34-year-old man for a long, long time. And without increasing his testosterone dose, we got him to eat more protein, eat more red meat, get sunlight, lift weights. He took his T from 1,100 to 2,100 in a month. So
golly, that's nuts.
He's doing all right. So stop fearing fucking red meat. That's all. You want to walk us through your training split really quick?
Yeah. I listen to my body a lot more than I did in the past. I would say I was addicted to the gym. If I missed the gym, it would ruin my day, and I wouldn't listen to my body. And I think that's the biggest thing a lot of people fall into, especially a younger audience. It's an addiction rather than a benefit. And I used to train every single day with no rest days. I do a 4-day split now, sometimes 5 days. I just listen to my body. I start with a push variation where I'll do a chest focused push day. I'll do 3 exercises for chest, 2 incline focus movements, 1 flat if I'm feeling spicy. And then I'll do 1 set of delts and 1 set of triceps. Then I'll do a back day and then do biceps as well, but it's a back focused pull day. Then I just do legs. I don't focus hamstrings or quads. I just hit them all at once. I'm just a psychopath like that. I don't know. I just like it better to hit the whole leg. After that, do a push day variation where it's shoulders and arms focused rather than chest focused. So I'll do 1 to 2 exercises for chest and then focus. I'll do 2 exercises for lateral or 1 exercise for lateral, 1 for front, 2 exercises for triceps. After that, I do another pull day. Nothing really changed for that. And then legs again. But I have a lot of rest days in between just listening to my body.
How many days a week are you training?
4 or 5, depends.
What are you doing on rest days?
Me, I always get 15,000 steps in the sun.
Nice.
I wouldn't say active because I'm not doing an exercise that's stimulating muscle, but I'm still outside.
You're not being a couch potato.
Bro, the national average for steps in the U.S. is 2,300. You're definitely active.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, in my mind, an active rest day would be like going on a run, doing something that's stimulating my body in the aspect of I feel uncomfortable. A walk does not make me feel uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
just right away start my day.
Do you
on a
run?
walk. Me, I used to. I used to
What
really
about now?
lowers your testosterone, man.
No way. No way. What do you mean by
I feel
that?
attacked.
What do you mean by that?
If you run more than 4 miles a day as a male, continuously, all in once, you lower testosterone just inherently.
Definitely, on the whole, I can attest to this. The thing that I'm training for, the thing that I'm doing, anything done to an extreme is unhealthy, right?
Yeah, same with cutting, same
Yeah.
with bulking. That's what I was saying. What I'm doing is extremely unhealthy.
Yeah.
Not extremely.
When
It's
you
unhealthy.
want to be above average in anything, or you want to do something that many people can't do, anything on the extreme end of a spectrum is not good, right? A little bit of running and a little bit of lifting and eating whole foods is great. Being in a big calorie surplus for a long time, probably not great. Calorie deficit for a long time, not great. I'm training for an ultra marathon. This is not for optimal health. This is to prove that I can do it. I'd probably have a little bit better energy, probably better performance in the gym, but I'm choosing to sacrifice that aspect to do something different.
It's the inner masochist in you.
Yes, I like. Yeah, we all. If you have to like pain,
You think God was like, yeah, my test is so low right now, guys.
Yeah, he's like,
God's like,
It's like I
go.
listen to recordings of my comments, and I was being a straight up bitch. That's all he says.
Well, you see his knee, his bones are rubbing against each other with no tendons left, and he still runs all those ultra
Shit is
marathons.
FUBAR.
Brother literally runs shitting himself.
Literally pooped himself and ran another 40 miles.
Another big distinction between health and personal enjoyment.
Yeah, I think one important piece. So here's the cool thing: we're looking at two 26-year-old, a 21-year-old. All of us are in great shape. The interesting thing is our avenues as to what inspired us to get in shape. So you kind of had it forced on you with a dad that told you that you're going to do this. Where you're at now in your life, as you're training and as you're building yourself, what do you really see long term for you? Are you trying to compete? Are you trying to start your own company? You want your own supplement line? What are you trying to do, man? You have a massive horizon on
I was
your
going to say that's a
hands.
big open-ended question. I would say I'm a pretty motivated human in all aspects of life. So I have a lot of things going. Obviously, we're in the same company, Ecovision, and Ecovision, they've given me the pleasure of starting my own clothes with them, and there's royalty deals with that, and same with my own pre-workout, my own protein. So those are all big avenues I want. Also, energy drink. There should be an energy drink in my name. There's a lot of avenues for that, which is really big, which I'm very happy. I've worked a lot for that. And then I'm also starting the avenue the past 6 months with my coaching, which is becoming very successful just off the platform I've had and all the education I provide. There's also just a lot of avenues for personal enjoyment. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I'm only bulking to this extent once in my life. I'm actually not enjoying it. Eating 5,000 calories a day is not enjoyable.
Yeah.
To your guys' surprise, it's not enjoyable. Someone that has to do it day in and day out, it sucks after 2 weeks.
So when does the bulk stop? You're 204 now. When are you done?
220, man.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I want to stay this lean. I don't want to push past 20% body fat. I don't even get close to that. I want to be like 16. I want to maintain 14 to 16 the whole way through. So that's a big issue for me. And I want to be 190, lean on stage to say I did it. That's my goal because
190 lean on stage to say that you did it. So you're talking about competing.
yeah, I'm
Dude, what Dylan competing would be nuts. He's only 21.
Why? Wait, yeah, you're only 21. You're like, wow, when is that for you? You think it's
I'm
a
like
year out?
54 weeks out.
Oh yeah, you made a video. You were like,
Yeah.
I'm 44 weeks out for my first bodybuilding show.
So I'm doing it one for content because it's great content creation to show the journey. It shows people the ins and out of it.
It is.
I'm gonna give cutting tips the whole way through. I've started long form content on YouTube every single day. I'm uploading my day in, day out, my food, my training. I give advice on every single exercise, every single thing I eat. I give it why I do it. Just a long form breakdown of my short form content, and people have really latched onto it, and it's actually increased my coaching business dramatically because they can hear I can talk about a subject longer than a minute, and I go in great depths about things, and it's actually attracting an older audience, which is what I want at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
And so because kids don't watch things longer than a minute, and YouTube is meant for older audiences,
People wanting to learn, really.
And so I found a sweet spot, I would say, in the past 2 weeks of doing long form content. And so after the road to 220, I'm gonna do road to show right after.
Wow.
And I think it's going to be a very good avenue of showing how to bulk properly and how to cut properly and do all levels of it.
Yeah.
And then show the after effect, obviously, because people usually binge after because of such a restrictive diet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would say since I've done it for 10 plus years or 10 years, I don't really have the binge aspect. I've dealt with that in the past. Believe me, I've dealt with that. That is
I think we all have on the fitness journey. At
it
some point, you've
is.
developed a fucked up relationship with food.
It's not even that, because you learn so much about your body. You learn ways to
mitigate
fit it in.
Yeah.
I would do like 16 miles a day to eat 6,000 calories because I loved food so much. And so some days I would walk 14 miles and I'd be like, oh, I can only have this amount of calories because I know my body so damn well. And it almost is counterintuitive because
No, you're obsessing over it almost.
and it ruins your whole day.
And that's the dysfunction. That's the too unhealthy, too healthy, too far to one extreme.
Yeah, that's
to
why
the
you
other.
teach lifestyle. And I think people that have dealt with all levels are better coaches because I'm not going to name names, but I know friends of mine that do coaching. They've been in the industry for a while and they just never evolved. They're not open-minded. They stay so one-dimensional and they've never dealt with hardship. So it's almost like you can't relate to them. That's why their social media presence isn't as big because they're not relatable. And two, they're so one-dimensional. If you don't do it their way, it doesn't work.
Dude, I thank you. I think it's really cool to be able to see someone who's 21 really sharing great information in a place that's really level-headed and the intention is genuinely pure and to educate. Like you going through the in and outs of showing how you diet, how you train, why, how people like your audience can take basic information and or complex information, but then actually do something with it because they're all trying to build muscle like and be like you basically.
I appreciate that a lot. I wouldn't even say they're all trying to be like me. I've noticed people just, I'd say like 99% of my clients, they just want to see their abs for the first time and stuff like that. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like the mainstream people. I mean, I don't doubt it because that's why I wanted to get abs too. Everyone wants it.
Well, I think the real journey is if you can teach someone that wants to see their abs that's not what it's all about. You have to discover it on your own, right? I had to get shredded to realize it wasn't was going to make me happy. And if you can teach someone like, oh, you have your abs, but also you've built rigidity, you built discipline, you built confidence. That's what I would consider like a huge client win. It's like you've changed that person's life. You didn't just give them abs. I think you do that through the way you coach.
I think we coach very differently. I've noticed there's two big differences between our coaching, and it's purely because of different avenues we bring our leads in.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I have a large audience on all platforms, so I have the blessing of having such a large reach. So I actually have never had a client longer than 6 months because one, believe I didn't do the job enough to teach them the whole way. Because I tell my clients, I actually refilling a lot of clients that don't want to learn. They just want someone to hold them accountable, which is the number one thing. I hold them accountable for 3 months. And if they still want that accountability rather than just learning, I usually just tell them like, hey, I don't think it's a good fit for me. I think another coach would be a great recommendation. And so I pride myself on teaching the people the whole 6 months, which sucks financially for me because the recurring rev is not there.
But you care.
But that's what I'm saying. I have the blessing of having such a large reach on people where I can just teach them along the way because that's sustainable.
Yeah.
They learn their metabolism. They learn what to eat. They learn how to feel more full. They learn the satiation charts. They learn all these nuances that not a lot of people know about, which I teach them. And that's why I take pride in it. It actually makes me, I hate saying this, but I read a book that it fills my bucket, makes me feel fulfilled in life.
Yeah.
And I believe putting it forward will always affect you greatly in the long run. I always just try to do that. And so I believe that's a big difference in the way we've coached each other. Because you guys teach, I know you guys teach great, but you guys have a lot more of a relationship with your clients, I would say. You guys are a lot more, I wouldn't say, I don't know what word to put it. You guys are a lot more involved.
We're trying to build a community.
Yeah, you guys do a lot of really cool things in your communities that I don't provide personally. I personally am so much more in the aspect of teaching rather than the community aspect. Like I don't do group calls and stuff like that. It's all individual based.
Right.
But I also don't have a certain amount of clients.
Right.
I cap out because I have revenue streams from other places.
Yeah.
And that's just completely just my choice.
I get that.
Yeah.
I think also one way we're incredibly similar is that Yusuf and I do not believe if a coach says that if a client says, I need accountability, I need motivation, you're not ready for a fucking coach. Our job as coaches is not to come and grab you by the hand and pull you off the fucking couch. It's to give you the tools to be successful.
Yeah, Yusuf actually was the one that taught me that very early on in my coaching, which I'm still very grateful for to this day because I had a couple clients before Yusuf had told me that advice and it was absorbing my whole day and I only had 5 clients. Like 5 clients should not absorb my whole day. And I was putting in so much time because they wanted to be like, hey, I don't want to go to the gym. I'd be like, think of this and this and this to go to the gym. And it's like you said,
dude,
can I quote you?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold
Please.
you by the vagina and hold you
I'm
hand
not
through the
putting my
whole
hand
gym.
up your pussy
Yeah,
and fucking fisting you to the gym.
yeah,
I'm
and
not doing
so
that.
that advice changed my life because it's like I will hold them accountable
You
for
care.
only a
You
certain
really,
amount of
really,
time.
dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Only for a certain amount of time because
Uh-huh.
after that, I'm just taking your money. You're not learning
Encouragement is
anything.
good.
That's what I'm saying.
The positive reinforcement at first is great. However, by month 4 or 5 out of 6, like I actually had someone send me a message, and I doubt she's gonna listen to this because just given the nature of her message, she's fucking lazy, and it's fine. I would if I. I'll also message you and tell you that you're lazy too. So don't worry. I'm not gonna. This isn't private. I'm gonna tell you that you're lazy. But month 5, she goes, I know I'm at the tail end, but I think what would make me feel really accomplished is if I could leave with a detailed meal plan. Straight up go fuck yourself. Here's why, you dumbass. First of all, fucking chat GPT it. If a lot of times people think what they believe a trainer should do for them is not to twist your words, but teach them something. No, it is to show you how I think of something. No disrespect, it's because I just know better in this. Just trust me. And so a lot of times it's like, oh, I want a meal plan. Google it. Go to precisionnutrition.com right now and put your info in and get a custom free meal plan. But you know what? And if you really wanted one, you would have looked one up by now. Huh. Interest. You have a coach. You would have just Googled it, or you would have just asked for it, or you would have just asked to learn. Anyway,
Well, I
sorry.
completely agree. I've slowly detached from being so involved because it's not a good knowledge building thing. It's like you could what's the quote? You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't teach him to drink. Um, for example, my coaching, I do 3 months of giving a meal plan, and that takes a lot of time.
Yes.
A week by week meal plan.
I also think it's a fucking waste of time.
That's why I cap
Sorry.
out at a certain amount of clients because it would be literally running my life.
Yeah.
And so I cap out at a certain level because I give custom plans. But after 3 months, I actually learned from you guys. And I was telling you guys off camera, I give them a food pyramid to pick from and they build their own diet. And that's where you
Yes.
teach them how to do it on their own for the rest of their life.
Yes.
Because they can get off track, but they know how to get back on track, which is the biggest thing.
If you learned it right, you don't need a meal plan. You need a fucking moral compass when it comes to food. Jesus Christ.
Well, that's why I think I'll never detach from the 3 months because that's the accountability up front. After the first 3 months, it's like, hey guys, there's time.
You should get it at this point.
That's
Like,
what I'm
let's rock
saying.
and roll.
Yeah.
That's I think a little different. I don't have like I don't have it in me to be up front and be like, hey, I'm not gonna I don't know how to put this into words. I'm not upfront going to say, hey, I'm not going to hold you accountable whatsoever up front because everyone needs it at first. Because I come from an area where I was at a school of gym people teaching you every single day. They're science based. Now, looking back at it, was not very science based, but it got me really good technique. They were all about full range of motion, all these things. And I learned a lot, and they gave you diet plans, and you had to read all this literature about diets and all this nutrition. And at freaking 12 years old, you're like, gosh, this just sucks. So I had the coach, my parents paid extra, give me meal plans. So I'm used to that. And I had to be held accountable by my parents saying, like, you're a fat ass. Stop being a fat ass. If you cheat on your diet, it's not possible. We're not going to give you the fucking food. And so that's from coming my perspective, from my personal experience. You do need that little kick up front.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone needs certain goals. Definitely.
But I love your mentality. I'm not dissing it in any
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Your
yeah.
mentality, I've adopted in myself because it's so helpful.
Yeah.
It sounds rude, but it's the most helpful thing. Like blunt, like we were saying earlier, being more blunt is more helpful in the world.
I think if for instance, if I were trying to get into audio and understand how audio works, we're holding up microphones. We've got like a little sound box right here. If I asked, oh, just tell me how to do it, and they go, dude, honestly, like this is for you. You should probably just do this. Like, let's be real here. Like, I would want that from the professional. I would want that from the professional, being like, hey, dude, like I read the situation, do this. Trust me.
The way that we asked you when I was like, how would you set this up with a camera? And like whatever you say, I'm probably just gonna do. Right? It's the same concept. I think also you can afford the time to build the custom meal plans because you don't really want to. We don't have the same vision for the coaching community, right? We're scaling this to a large amount of clients right now, and you don't have to, right? You're fortunate to be crushing it with Echo and clothing. But this is our main source of living and sustenance. So it's different. It's a different level of expertise and quality that you're able to maintain because you limit your scalability, and that's a great thing.
Well, it's limiting, but I think I don't know how to describe it. Since it's so hands on, I charge a premium more.
Yeah, exactly.
As
That's
you
what I
should-
was trying
as
to
you
say.
should.
As you definitely should.
And so, again, I'm blessed to have the leads that are affording the premium. And obviously, I'm not going to say that it's crazy premium, but it's a
It's
premium.
a baller value. If you work with
Yeah.
literally anyone like us, it's hard to oversell.
Dylan
that.
literally charges more than us, like me and Michael.
As
I
two
ran-
humans.
I ran gyms for 5 years, and I've hired 20 personal trainers, and Dylan charges more. That's good.
That is a good thing,
Good for you.
and it's
Thank
working.
you. Yeah. I mean, I would say it's tremendous value. I'm not going to undersell myself because the homework
shouldn't.
I have done to do this.
It literally makes results guaranteed. Like if
Yeah.
you just do what you say, it's automatic.
Well, I'm going to interview one of my clients. I've had him for 4 months now, and he's doing his first bulk ever, and he was skinny fat. And I am notorious for knowing,
Which if you're not certain about that, is the absolute worst place that you can be.
So I'm notorious for saying that. The video got like 8 million views of me saying like being skinny fat's the worst possible situation to be in.
Boy,
And
you
then
caught some serious internet heat for that, dude.
I didn't know that.
Bro.
I got over like 10,000 stitches of like mainstream people stitching me, like with tens.
They're being
million
like,
followers.
bro, the Holocaust happened. What do you mean skinny
Yeah.
fat is the worst
And
place to
so,
be? It's really funny, honestly.
I had a client that saw that video, and it actually produced a lot of leads, which is ironic. Like I got a lot of hate for it, but it gave me so many leads because
No such thing as bad PR.
I was about to say it. The whole video, I gave genuine advice that was actually good advice that I give to my clients. And so he was skinny fat. He lost all the fat. And when he first started, he wanted to bulk. And I was like, I hate to say this to you. You're not at a body fat level to bulk. You will gain muscle in a caloric deficit. I promise you that if you listen to me. And I actually had the blessing to train with him.
Such good advice.
I had a blessing.
That's great advice.
I had a blessing to train with him. And so I trained with him and showed him intensity.
In person?
At Alphaland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
And I filmed it. I haven't posted it yet. I'm going to do it probably after the interview. I showed him what failure is. And I was like, I want to make you like my lab rat. So I showed him failure. I showed him everything. And he was in a caloric deficit and he stopped losing weight. And I was like, don't be deterred. Don't look at the scale. Don't be deterred. I promise you, if your clothes are fitting better,
body fat,
if you like your look better, something's working.
Yes. We run into this all the fucking time with clients who are like, I haven't lost a pound in 2 weeks. It's like, well, you've put 20 pounds on your bench press and you said your arms are visibly larger.
Yeah.
That's best possible outcome.
Best possible situation be in.
Literally so optimal.
But this random number.
Yeah.
But
This arbitrary number for no reason.
Yeah.
And so he was like, yeah, I'm not losing weight. And I was like, my brother, you look at these photos. And I like show him the side by side in my app that like shows the side by side. I'm like, do you want to look like this or do you want to look like this? And he's like, obviously this. I'm like, okay, stop looking at the scale. Let's be real here. And so he's finally at the body fat percentage to like bulk up. And I'm so excited to show because he quite literally got stronger, more muscle while losing fat.
That's
because
awesome.
he had the mindset I noticed during my consultation. It's like a feel during the consultation, like if they're beginners, they're more intermediate or advanced, and you can see their mindset. He was so determined to get abs and look the best ever. He was willing to do anything. And I was very, really willing to do anything because the high intensity training, I would not advocate for beginners. And he was a beginner. And so he got astronomically stronger and everything was just falling into place. And he ate the calories to a T. And I gave him the custom meal plan past a few months because I really wanted to see results. And he's at the body fat percentage where he's like able to bulk. And this is going to be the craziest testimonial I ever get because he started at the worst possible situation and now he's mesomorphic. And
he's gonna look totally different.
He's gonna look like a different human. And I was on a call with him for 2 hours yesterday, and I was like, we broke down so much literature because I'm a nerd about it. I love talking about the literature, and he's at the level where he'll understand the length and partials and true muscular failure and stuff like that. And he was watching one of my vlogs, and I was doing sissy squats on the hack squat and why that was more beneficial than doing just free hack squat and stuff like that. And he started doing it, and I'm like, dude, you don't understand. You have like 10 years of knowledge in 4 months, dude.
Crazy what you can do if you listen to the right people in the space.
And so he makes me feel so happy because he's like, dude, you've genuinely changed my life, all these things. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. You make me so happy that you're listening to this.
It's such a beautiful relationship, right?
Yeah, like 4 months in, he's still so passionate about it. I'm like, because I love these talks to them. Like, I'll spend 2 hours talking to a client about this. Like, I don't have to have my crazy demand of clients. If you're willing to listen to me, I will give you so much information.
I got this was your question that you asked a little bit yesterday. You prepared this, but I think this is the perfect time to ask it. So you saw what you were able to deliver to this young man, right? And he's eternally grateful that you shortcutted him 10 years and 4 months. You talked about how you started lifting at a young age and how you had basically progressively gotten more and more so intentionally jacked, but also like you've experienced pretty much all there is to experience within dieting. If it fits my macros, should I run to afford more stuff? All you've gone through back and forth, up and down, and you've really been through the ringer that most people. I think you've completed 100% of the gauntlet at this point. Like only so much that you can do and intend in fitness, and you've about done all of it.
Yeah, starved fat,
Yeah,
eating disorder, binge eating, everything.
So you've done all of this, and you've had to learn a lot, right? And you've also had to unlearn a lot. And you can't say the internet vaguely as your answer. I'm not going to allow that. Who is the person that is the inverse to you, where you're that kid, but someone taught you so much and helped you become who you are now? Who would you that person is to you? Who's your daddy?
Is it a creator? Is it someone on social media right now?
No, that's a great question. I would let me think about that for a second. I don't want to give the wrong answer here.
He's like, I'm very picky with who gets my credit.
No, I would say it's a lot of people, and I want to give credit where credit's due. So I never looked up to my father personally as a father figure. I just have an interesting relationship with him, and I never wanted to be like him. And so that would almost be the inverse, and don't want to be like him as a motivation, but I don't want to completely say that and blame him. I would say there's a lot of aspects because I'm also a pilot. Like, that's another venture I was addicted to for a year. Got all my licenses within a year. Unheard of. Not to toot my own horn, but
That is crazy.
I
as
can
shit.
legally teach
Aviation.
someone. Yeah,
Literal
CFI.
aviation. You just happen to also be a pilot.
Yeah, well, instructor. I actually learned a lot of things, doing a lot of different things. You learn a lot, and they connect. You'll see them connect, and you're like, "Wow, that's crazy." And so, like, what I learned as a CFI, an instructor of how to quite literally fly a plane from not knowing anything. Someone that's trying to crash the plane at all times. Your instincts are just really bad flying.
Can you do a Boeing? Sorry,
can't do that yet, man. Sorry.
Okay, so there's levels to. Okay,
not multi yet.
Okay.
And so they teach you to dumb it down to a third grader. If you can't teach it to a third grader, you don't know it.
Yeah, you know it.
Don't know it yet. And I learned that early on before I even started coaching. And I was like, don't be an idiot, Dylan. Don't say these big words to sound smart. Dumb it down to a third grade level. And that helped me with my content. That helped me with a lot of things. And this guy named John Pioli, he was in the Marines or some branch of the military, and he was a pilot. And I just always wanted to live his lifestyle. He was making like $500,000 a year, traveling the world, had a great wife, just such a happy human being. He always uplifted me when I was feeling bad. He was one of my dad's friends. John Pioli is a family friend of mine, and unfortunately, like, he doesn't hang out with my dad anymore. But as a child, I looked up to him a lot. And then after that, I would say, I want to say my brother, but it was never a competition because my brother was always like the attractive guy in the school. Like, he got any girl he wanted. He was always in good shape. He never really had to try for that. He was always the best at sports. I mean, he got a full ride.
How old is he?
He's 2 years older than me. He's 23. Okay. He got a full ride to college, very good school, D1 school. And he always was extremely successful on accident, if that makes sense. Never had to work for it. And I was born not that way, which sucked. But I always wanted to look up to my brother. And so I wanted to do that, but also be better than him at it. And he was obviously in shape before me. And so I think like an internal thing in me was like, this could be my thing. And then started hyperfixating on that. And I would look at like creators, but not really idolize them. I've never had that mentality of idolizing because you're just a human being. Yeah. I'm a human being. You're a human being. No matter how many followers you have to your name, you're a human.
We're just knuckleheads with iPhones.
We're just guys that hyperfixate on things.
And we're just actually severely ADHD is maybe like slightly on the spectrum.
Yeah, and so I never idolized people like that. And honestly, I don't know. I think it's like myself, like being better than yesterday.
Damn. I was gonna ask you. It sounds like a lot of what you learned you didn't just grab from a creator. You went and read.
It was genuine self-reflection.
Yeah, I think the first time I read literature was after watching a Jeff Nippard video, and I was like, I feel like he's leaving out so much because this is like a mainstream video. This has millions of views. I don't want to be a part of millions of people. I want to be special. And so I'd go to ncbi.com and read a bunch of studies from PubMed and go in great lengths on watching YouTube tutorials on how to read literature because, golly, it's hard to read literature up front. There's so many weird acronyms and stuff like that that you just can't comprehend, especially
I'm
at
a
a young
big
age.
abstract guy. I
Big
read the
conclusion
abstract a
guy.
lot.
Reads the abstract and conclusion. I guarantee you read the creatine literature I sent you and just went
I
to the
didn't
conclusion.
not do that. That's for sure.
You guys know how to read?
Y'all motherfuckers know how to read?
Well, that's another issue. Like, I was born dyslexic, so it was a really hard challenge
Really?
to genuinely read. And I don't say that much because people immediately shut you down, like, oh, you're dyslexic, you freaking idiot. And so it's like, I try not to say it because it actually deters people from working with me because it's like, he's dyslexic, what an idiot.
Bro,
It's like,
bro, I'm dyspexic, bro. I got massive pecs. Like this work with me anyway.
And so I think it's just truly an obsession. I just was obsessed with being perfect.
Yeah.
I still am. I mean, I was telling you, like, I have ventures other than just fitness. I know this is my job, my income, but I love boxing. I love jujitsu. I love playing volleyball. I love spike ball. I did love aviation, but I got burnt out because I got too fixated on it.
You have a lot of things. You've explained this in your content. Is like, I'll find something, I'll get obsessed with it. It's training that's always home base for you. You'll never not train. You're like me. You're too OCD not to. But it was
just scheduling.
Yeah, it was scheduling, and then it was jits, right? It was rolling, and now it's boxing, and now you're gonna actually do a sanctioned boxing match, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't look up at anyone in boxing. I don't look up at anyone.
Yeah.
I just want to be perfect.
Yeah, you be the best version of you.
Yeah.
There's a lesson in there, right? It's like comparison is the thief of joy. It's like you're only comparing you to you. At least that's how it sounds.
It sounds perfect when you say it like that, but I obviously do compare. I just don't let it affect my mental health.
Yeah, there you go. That's a much more human way to put it.
Yeah, I think everyone compares, and I think comparison's great. A horrible thing to say out loud. Comparison's amazing.
No, yeah, Hormozy made a video about it. He was like, no, the comparison, I to a degree to believe both sides is like, don't get down on yourself and quit because of where someone else is at. But Hormozy talks about how comparison's great to know how you're doing and be objective with yourself.
Well,
like, that's where I want to be. Then what am I not doing that person's doing?
It makes you humble.
Very humble.
Like, I never let it affect my mental health, but I'll be like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
I need to do better. And I would say I'm doing well for a 21-year-old. I would say I'm above other friends of mine.
I would say far
I was
better.
about to congratulate you for being 21 and having done all that you have done.
Yeah,
It's
and
insane.
and I always look at myself. I'm like, why didn't I do this in the past? And like, obviously, I've adapted the mindset of like, think of it like chess. You can't go back on a move. It's only going forward and looking how to improve on your mistakes, which has helped me mentally a lot. But I obviously think like, oh, look at this 21-year-old. He's a mega millionaire. What am I doing wrong in the same niche as me?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Like Alex Eubanks. I'll be like, how is he making like $12 million a year while I'm over here? And
Yeah.
I never let it like affect me negatively. It almost
Alex Eubanks makes $12 million a year. What did you say?
Yeah, he makes like 10 to 12 or something stupid.
Are you
like
shitting
that.
me?
I'm not confirming this.
Oh
But,
yeah. It's stipulation.
It's astronomical. He has percentage of alpha lion purely because he just has a following. He is the most business savvy human ever, and I look up to that a lot. Like, it's very impressive.
How old is he also?
I think 23, 22.
Wow.
Very impressive.
My last question to you, and Yusuf may have another couple of things he wants to ask you before we wrap up. I know we both got things we've got to get to, or all of us. If you had to pick something, I'm putting you on the spot here. I'm sorry. If you had to pick something that you would want everyone to know about getting fitter, healthier, like what do you think is your absolute must know, must have that you would like everyone to know more of or have an understanding of?
I would say find a way to enjoy it. That's the most sustainable way, because the number one thing someone will do is diet for 3 months and rebound. Horrible for your health, not sustainable. You learned nothing from it. All you learned was having abs is hard. I don't want to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
So find a way to enjoy it, even if it's not science-backed training. Find a way of training that's effective and fun for you. For example, you run. You enjoy that. You're a healthy human being. You are able to maintain a very lean physique off what you're doing, and you're sustaining that for a long period of time. And I guarantee you after, you're not going to rebound to a morbidly obese weight.
Doubt it.
I would put my life savings on it, actually.
Yeah.
I think people need to adapt the mindset of, rather than I want this result right now, find the way that you can do it for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
And that's the number one thing I try to teach. I never put them in a severe deficit, never put them in a severe surplus. Always mild things. Take it mildly. Anything that you hyperfixate on early on, for example, I want to get abs as much as I can. 2 months in, you're like, damn, this sucks. I don't have the enjoyment anymore. I'm quitting. White flag up. I'm done. Oh, I'm in a starvation mode. That's why I'm not losing weight. Cope. Okay. Like these things I think are really bad. And I know that's not a direct advice because that's very open ended and stuff like that.
I like that
I think
answer
it's
though.
great advice.
Yeah.
It's the dare I say only correct advice you can genuinely give in fitness to
Yeah.
another human being. Truly,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because like I love the literature and I love the minor nuances that help me. I love that. That's not
they
gonna.
get the edge.
That
They
doesn't.
get the edge.
That doesn't help my clients.
Yeah.
Unless that one guy I have that wants it. I know as a coach for a while now, no one cares about that little extra 0.1 ounce of muscle you gain from that exercise. I know for a fact most people want to enjoy the gym.
Mhm.
Find a workout you enjoy. People most likely hate leg day. Make it 1 leg day a week rather than 2, even though 2 is more effective. Figure things out like that with your client and adapt, I think, is also like a good coach, not one fits all type of thing. And so I think just finding that happiness.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be the gym. You can get a 6-pack without the gym.
Compliance is the science. You're going to be successful in what you can stick to forever.
Exactly. Like if you love jujitsu, do that. If you love boxing, do that. If you love running, do that. You don't have to be lifting weights. That's such a myth of the industry. You could look sick without even touching a weight.
I think it is so easy to find ways to not enjoy exercise. It's painful.
Yeah.
You have to wait. You have to be patient. There's a lot of reasons why you don't have to like exercise, but I really like, and this is like, actually, I would feel counterintuitive. And people that maybe know me from my audience might even go, Yusuf saying find happiness. Like it's like, no, but like actually, like within fitness, that is the thing. Like, and also if anyone goes, I think it was an exceptional point to say, and also for 21 to say that, dude, like, no, like I know guys who are 32-year-old coaches who still don't have a fucking clue about how to actually get someone to enjoy the gym.
It's open-mindedness. You have to be struck down to get up.
Wow, dude, that's an amazing. That's a great. Like I know if we were to ask, if I'm being totally straight up with you, if we were to ask every commercial in-person trainer, they would say some fucking stupid answer about, oh, it's this method. Oh yeah, it's this
It's
method.
the
Oh,
keto, it's the Atkins.
oh, it's macros. Oh, you need to find this, and it's like shut the. Think. How about you digest this for a second and think about what you like. Like, why don't you just self-inquire?
Well, I think it's the aspect of you want to put on what you do to others in our human nature. Like we want people to do what we're doing
Yeah,
because
so true.
of that.
So true.
And that's just like inner instincts. Like it's like a parental instinct in us. And I think a lot of men, especially, have issues like being struck down.
Yeah, dude, ego.
We talked about this with our male clients in that it is hard to accept another male authority coming in and telling you what you're doing is fucked up and you need to stop because it challenges your ego big time.
I think my childhood has helped me with that a lot, where like having a very controlling parent just put you down right away. It makes you humble early on. Also, doing social media and having a large platform right away, and you never learn these lessons early on. You either go on 2 paths. You either become very open minded and take criticism, or you hate everyone that doesn't agree with you. And I think, like, for example, if TNF stitched me, this is how we started talking. He stitched me and I just texted him like, hey, could you explain like more in depth on why? And he's like, I thought you were going to give me a hate text. And I was like, no, I just genuinely like learn. Like, I didn't know I was doing that wrong. Like, thank you for telling me. He goes, dude, that's amazing to hear. And he like sent me the study and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, people can be wrong. The best coaches in the world can be wrong. Just learn from it. Like, that's the biggest thing in life, just learning. And so TNF, like, he made me feel very happy about it. He's like, you may be the most open-minded person I've ever met at 21. And I was like, I think it's just being struck down enough where you're like, dude, I need to learn from this so I don't keep getting struck down.
Well, you're developmentally, I would say, emotional intelligence wise, you're definitely far ahead average people your age. Like you don't strike me as a 21-year-old.
No,
I've met 21-year-olds who I'm surprised are allowed to drive a fucking car.
Well, I also only hang out with people that are like 25 or older.
That is true.
Yeah,
That
surround
is
yourself
true.
with people that you want to be like.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
People in the same space as me or in the area of life as me. I don't know a 21-year-old in my area at least to network with where I would pick their brain and learn something.
Yeah.
Like with you guys, I always have a constructive thing I learned usually from you guys, if not like have a good conversation in general that mentally is stimulating.
Yeah,
For example, like Yusuf has changed my coaching for the rest of my life. Like
for sure.
genuinely has changed my coaching for the rest of my life off just a simple hour-long workout. You know how hard that is to find if you're not just picking your nose in other places, like putting your nose in other places. Sorry. Like if I didn't walk up to Yusuf, I would not have a successful coaching career right now if it wasn't for him.
That's
Like,
crazy thought.
Thanks, man.
yeah, no, it's just genuinely like,
May I plug my shit real quick on that? Like, look, pardon me. I guess sometimes I get good constructive feedback. This is a really good positive piece of feedback. Thank you for that. You have literally paid for the advice before. Can you speak on that really quick? I'm sorry.
yeah,
May I pop my shit for a second?
yeah, of course, dude, of course. For what you've done for me,
What are you,
So-
my friend?
well, it's just true. So I spent a large sum, dare I say 5 figures, for advice for coaching, how to scale coaching. Because I had a large audience. They were foaming at the mouth seeing my following and that I wasn't making millions off my coaching. I didn't think they realized I wasn't willing to scale to the point of the non-personal ability of my coaching. I don't think they realized that. And so they didn't get the testimonial that they wanted from me, which is unfortunate. But I always tell Yusuf that it's so funny. He'll tell me something that I paid 5 figures for when it's literally so simple to him because he just learned it. And I was like, dude, if I met you, because this is my biggest regret so far in my life, spending 5 figures for this coaching and learning what Yusuf, I met him 2 days after I bought it. I met him 2 days after I bought it, 48 hours beforehand. And I picked his brain and I learned more from Yusuf than the agent itself because he told me everything from the agency, just hanging out with him once. And then he taught me how to run certain apps, like my Trainer Eyes app. He taught me certain things. He taught me to stop babying people.
Onboarding video.
Yeah, he taught me so many extra things that I paid 5 figures for that I wouldn't even learned if I met Yusuf. And so, like, obviously, you learn from your mistakes. And I did take stuff away from that agency. It's not a big loss in general. I did learn stuff, but in reality, if I never bought it, I probably would have learned everything from you beforehand because you've already been such a successful coach and you've been in the industry for so damn long. Like, you learned the coaching game so early on. I know the information. I just didn't know how to portray it properly to the people.
Hey, I appreciate that, my boy.
No, it's just completely true. And I have a question for you. How long have you been coaching?
Who's you? Me?
Yusuf.
Yeah.
How long have you been coaching?
Mhm.
I want to say, what was the worst and the best? If you're open to saying
The worst and the best what?
What would you say your biggest regret was early on your coaching?
Yeah.
And then what you're the happiest about with your coaching currently?
Wow. Thank you. That's a great question. That's an amazing question. So I got my cert when I was 18, right at the right from the gym I was working at.
To interrupt you, how much did that cert teach you?
Absolutely nothing.
I'm glad we got that out of the way. You
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. May I had learned far more from Jeff Cavalier, aka Athlean X. I had learned way more from Mike Chang and Six Pack Shortcuts on YouTube.
I really like Mike Chang.
You do or don't?
I do. I really like
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like Athlean X as much.
Yeah. I got certified when I was 18, and the worst, would you say mistake or would you say lesson or would you say what was it was worse than best?
I said worst, but I would say lesson. That's
worst lesson,
every
harshest lesson I might have ever learned.
biggest mistake that you had to learn from early on.
Oh man, I'm gonna steal Michael's quote here, and I was a giant people pleaser for a long time. And that led me to overpromise a lot, especially people that were keen on speaking with me on a regular basis. A lot of people were abusing that at first, especially as my social media presence and my content started to, just kind of get some traction. And I had a people that I unintentionally was enabling to lean on me way too much, like stuff that people would go like, and how people, teachers will always say there's no such thing as dumb questions. They say that
There's such thing.
yeah, there's such a thing sometimes. And my favorite, so there, and you know what, and I'm going to say that might sound shallow for a second or maybe unempathetic. and I would say that actually couples in with the best and worst lesson that I've ever learned. It's kind of all one. Was I think real results and real great coaching. I said this earlier. I said most coaches at first think that they get paid for explaining the textbook at someone. And I think what real great coaching does is you really get paid to explain how you think of things for that person in their situation. That's what real great coaching is.
Adapting, like I said earlier.
Yeah, thank you. So at first I fed into it because, and this is the quote I was going to steal from you. I fed into people pleasing, and I fed into people becoming codependent on me, asking me for a lot of advice and a lot of things, and abusing communication with me, and just using me as a therapist. Like, I mean, just some shit like I would need, like I would just get pissed off at. Like, I would just be like, how could a human being actually say that? So like that part taught me a lot of empathy. But this quote that Michael shared is, you can either have easy conversations and a hard life, or you can have hard conversations and an easy life. And yeah, and so I had one day I had a straw that broke the camel's back. I had a guy message me. He like triple texted me, and this is I basically, he's like, bro, can you review my schedule? This is my schedule. I told you about this guy. Review my schedule. I can't fit the gym in. I work too much. I this and that. And he's like an overweight guy, and he really doesn't have anything. He's a DJ. Like, he's just a DJ.
How do you afford your coaching?
He's on a level that I no longer offer anymore, and this is kind of partially why. So he's just a DJ, and he basically asked me to revamp his whole schedule, and he triple texted me about it too. And then he was like, "Hey, bro, like and so he was like, 'Am I going to hear from you?' and this and that." And I went, "Dude, I'm sorry, I'm special. What the fuck is your what's your fucking question? Are you sending me the same thing that you can't just look at yourself?"
Was this in person or online?
This is online. And he was basically extremely respectfully feminine. Like, he needed like a bit of like the hand up the pussy method, where I pull him in, and I just went, bro, I'm really sorry. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't relate to you on this. Like, I work more than you, and I go to the gym still, and I don't know what your question is. Like, I literally work 5 times as much as you. I can't relate it. I can't relate to it. So that took me a lot to be able to say that, because that's not pleasant. He's supposed to like me. That's why I fed into the people pleasing and the, oh, I'm just not going to respond to it because I don't know how to approach that, and I would just do things that weren't within my description or modality. And so I just finally kind of just said, hey man, like, I think you are being a giant bitch. Like I work more than you, and I just can't relate to this. Like, you just need to get to the gym. And that, I remember he was like, well, I'm trying to learn and this and that, and I was like, yeah, I just can't relate to it. I'm sorry. I was a guy too. You're my age, and I figured this out when I was dumber than you, with less. You should just figure it out. Like, and there was like, sure, there's a sandwich positive feedback. Say, like, I could give a fuck about all that. Like, I just say it as it is, which is possibly lazy of me, and I've been open-minded to that. We talked about that before. That being angry and short and pissy is lazy, and it's not. You're not taking a moment to kind of like, I would say something soft, like breathe, but like to process what they're saying and really feel for them. So that in of itself was a great lesson. And it was really difficult because for me, that conversation felt like pins and needles in my eyes. It would look like a typical text, but I would be like, fuck this guy, bro. Like, that's what I honestly believed. And I was like, wait a second, this is my workplace. Why am I going fuck this guy in my workplace? And so that led me to, I've done since 2 revamps in my coaching business where I've reset expectations professionally, and I've gone, you are not to use me as your therapist. I got another example I could give you with someone that tried to even, I don't want to say blackmail me, but like threaten me, and then just be like, let's not waste time. I'll see you on the internet. And they were going to post a conversation where I just said, I'm not going to be a therapist. Like, you've been with me for 5 months now. You've gotten fit. You said, this person said, I feel fat and ignored. And I just went, and I just said, you need an in-person trainer. You need an in-person trainer. You want someone to listen to you. I'm not that motherfucker. I'm not that. Like,
Yeah.
go in person.
You actually taught me this lesson like after 5 clients, which I'm so blessed that I didn't have to go through this. And this is the opportunity of networking and learning from others and being open-minded, because it sounds like a weird advice to give to someone, saying, "Don't hold them by the pussy."
Yeah.
That is such a weird way to phrase it, and you're like, what
But
did he
literally,
say?
it's like think for
And
yourself.
no, and
It's think for yourself.
I mean, not to turn it all for me, but I had someone that dealt with alcoholism, and he was like, "No, my issue's not getting to the gym. My issue is alcohol." And I was like, "I'm so sorry. I think you should spend the money on a therapist, not me."
You did that guy a huge favor.
And he goes, "No, I think fitness would change my life. I see it all the time." And I go, "My man, I will give you some free advice right now. The gym will not change your life. It'll teach you lessons that you have to apply to life. It's not going to teach you life."
How the fuck is Dylan 21?
That was a bar.
That was, dude. Like you just wouldn't see Dylan and expect this.
No.
You wouldn't see. You're extremely different. One thing I want to thank you for is Michael and I were talking about this last night, but your ability to create original thought is extremely impressive.
Thank you. Means a lot.
Of course. And genius, there's our quote we brought up on the podcast yesterday. Genius is your ability to trust your own original thought and not disregard it.
Yeah, I speak with a lot of confidence that I pride myself with, and I will give that to myself. Is I've always been taught to say something with your chest, and if it's wrong, own up to it and learn from it, because that's just be blunt. Like, I'm very blunt with every human being I'm in contact with, my girlfriend, even like in loving relationships. I'm extremely upfront and blunt. And like you said earlier, have a hard life with easy conversations, or have an easy life with hard conversations. And I actually thrive in hard conversations because I learned so much from it, and I don't take it to heart. If Mike told me my coaching business is unorganized and needs to be better, I would say, "Okay, how?" And just listen. I wouldn't be like, "Damn, he's such a dick for saying that to me."
Yeah.
I would just be like, "Hey, thank you. Tell me now how to fix that." And that's a big thing that's missing in every aspect of life for everyone.
Yeah, I couldn't say I would have the same level of humility. I couldn't say that I would until the third time or fourth time someone says it.
Yeah.
And like genuinely.
No, it's just it comes with time, because like I think just from my childhood I've learned so many lessons early on, which I wouldn't recommend for everyone, but you learn early on in a traumatic experience, but you just emotionally mature a lot through that. And I think it's a thing that would help everyone in every aspect.
Oh yeah. This is a quote we got yesterday. And I got a question for you. And thank you for that great question.
I was going to say, you never said the
best lesson. The best lesson was that everyone. Thank you for that. I also just remember that the best lesson I got from coaching, I think, is that everyone wants the best for themselves, truly. And a lot of people, we whiteboarded it. We wrote it down, and it's so this damn. Why am I bringing up all these quotes that we had? They're all relevant. They're all relevant. And it was, if it's if you are Oh, I have three thoughts that are starting at once right now because they're all three quotes, and I'm like,
slow down, breathe.
yeah,
and
yeah,
say 'em
yeah.
all.
Thank you. Best lesson I think I learned was that a lot of people in fitness and nutrition are mentally 7 years old, unintentionally, not their fault. It is genuinely the landscape is confusing. People grew up hearing that fats were bad, sugar was bad, strawberries are bad, alcohol's good, cigarettes are fine, the vape is fine, being happy. We learned all these things, and I think that inherently within every human is still that part of them that absolutely knows and believes that there's better for them in fitness, and there's better for them within their own self-care routine. That part of me, some could call empathy, that I developed. Just like understanding, like I've had empathy. I've gotten hardened since getting more flack on the internet and proving myself right. That's the one most, actually, this could be a positive lesson for me, but I've proved myself right that people don't want better for themselves. And I've also proved myself right that people do. And I think it's either way you look at it, but it's most certainly the latter. It's that people do want better for themselves, because who the fuck doesn't?
Well, it's in all aspects, not even just people for coaching, because like bodybuilders haven't adapted high intensity training because they think high volume is better because they feel it more, and they go against the literature because they're saying these fucking nerds. And it's everyone does it inherently. Like bodybuilders are like, look at Arnold did.
Yeah.
Back in the 1960s, let me think. They believed in electric therapy for gay people. Let me think. They believed in shake weights to lose weight. They believed if you vibrate your body.
Yeah. Dude, that's an amazing point.
I think we've learned a little bit since the 1960s.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Maybe.
Yeah.
And so keep going. I just want to add on every level.
Yeah, I think that confusion and I said this yesterday. What did I say? Confusion and misery is like the notification that you've got to learn again.
I don't think it's confusion. I think it's they believe the misinformation because it makes them feel good. that's what I was saying with V-Shred. He thrives in going to pain
I would
points and
still
saying,
say inherently.
yeah.
I would still say inherently they're going to be confused in the end. Like the confusion is a punishment.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're
Unintentionally.
confused because they hear all this information that
Yeah.
goes uber viral because they're like,
Yeah.
this guy's speaking my
Yeah,
language.
and it's an unintentional confusion. That's the hard part. And I think that I like this quote: "If you treat everyone like a 10, you'd be surprised how they start to act." And that's where I like. That's where I said I prove people. I prove myself right when I think everyone's a fucking 5. They're a 4. They're an idiot. And I would see that, and I would. That's all I would see. And then when I'm like, everyone's a 10 because I'm a 10. I feel this way that we're no different. That also ultimately became self-fulfilling. And so either way I saw it, I was right. So that was a great lesson. My question for you now. So, and we could talk about this. I think this will be our final question. Probably wrap it up here. We're at about an hour 24. Um, you guys are both part of Echo Vision.
You are too, technically.
I did not know that.
Did you guys have a group code?
Oh, not yet.
Mm-mm. No.
Sorry,
No.
I lied.
No. Yeah. So you two are in Echo Vision. Dylan, for you specifically, are you familiar with what's going on? Or are you? That was last week, I think, the Young LA incident, if you will. Okay, so for backstory, there is an influencer of a pretty mainstream social media based brand and clothing. Young LA is
Are you talking about? Wait,
the
explain.
guy who called people a bundle of.
Oh, Giordani.
Yes. Are you,
Yeah.
how familiar with this incident?
I mean, I'm familiar because I've been in the industry for so long, and Giordani competed at the highest level of bodybuilding in history.
Is he IFBB?
He went to the Olympia. And
Oh, yeah?
he was top 5. Like, he was extremely well known.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know
I
that.
did not know that.
But he has a horrible backstory. Like, he was dishonorably discharged from the army for punching a sergeant in the face. Like, he's had.
Wait. So let's give backstory
Yeah.
really quickly. So backstory is, do you know? You might know it more than me, but I wanted to ask you. Actually, do you want to share what the backstory is? You might have the most scoop on what that would be like, or what it is.
Yeah, I'm not plugged into the whole influence.
Yeah, I
Y'all
was
were
gonna
talking about this
say-
in the Echo group chat, so can you just
Yeah,
shed
I
some light?
mean, personally, I was really into the drama when I was first into it, and I think that was just like the immature mindset, like, oh, I want these people to have a downfall so I look better. Not recently, like past year and a half, I thank God have adapted the mindset of just not really caring about the drama that much. But I do know it because obviously I've networked to the point where I know a lot of people in the industry. The issue was this guy. He's designed a couple clothes for Young LA. Young LA is the second most famous fitness brand. They claim to be the first, but Gymshark I think is miles ahead of them. They just don't have the social media presence, but they have the numbers to back it. So Young LA is a newer brand, and they thrived off the influencer marketing and affiliate marketing. There's a new way of marketing, and I was one of their athletes for 2 years actually. And
They get fitness people who have great fitness accounts, and they
Yeah,
basically
I mean,
clothe you. And
not even
get
just
you
great
there.
accounts. They had the idea of quantity over quality, and they got everyone in the industry to promote it. Now they're like millions of followers and stuff like that. They're doing great. Like they make interesting clothes. Not my cup of tea personally, but if you like it, you like it. And they're extremely well known in the industry, and like every kid wants a sponsorship with them. And they've had scummy things in the past with Raw Gear where their athletes like they would fat shame in the past to get views, and now they say they preach only positivity. And like their first athletes were Johnny and Sush. This guy named Sush, his name is Brandon. He literally only got famous for fat shaming people. Every video was fat.
Who did?
This guy named Sush.
He did. I didn't know he got popular from that.
He would say in every intro, "What's up, pussies?" and give extremely basic advice saying, "Did you know Kirkland protein bars taste good? See ya, pussies." And that would be a whole video, and it would get like 200,000 likes.
What?
And it's like, holy crap! Imagine we posted back then. And then he would get a lot of notoriety for stitching like Lizzo and be like, "This person looks horrible. Why are you preaching this to people?" And he would just make a lot of jokes about them, and it was controversial. And he would get accounts banned and then come back and stuff like that. It was similar to me, but I wasn't controversial like that. I wouldn't like fat shame people, and so they built a massive cult like following because if you're controversial like Andrew Tate or something, you build a cult like audience. It's the more divided someone is, the more strong the following is. I've learned. And so he had a very strong audience, and he built Young LA from the ground up, in my opinion.
This guy that
Brandon Sush.
Okay.
And Giordani, he would design a couple of the items, and Giordani also had a cult like following because he was so controversial because there was like domestic violence accusations and stuff like that. I'm not gonna confirm that. I don't know a lot about that, but he has a horrible track record. Let's just say that, to say the least. He also has like his nudes all over the internet and stuff like that. And after that, he made a story post because Gymshark made short or pants that were very similar to Young LA's Immortal joggers, their top selling jogger. And he said they're copying us, which was a very hypocritical thing to say because
everybody copies everybody.
Everyone does. And even Bradley Martin had the receipts for them copying relevant brands like Gymshark in the past. Like, because Brad used to work with Gymshark or with Gary, the owner of Young LA. He made a whole video about it. I didn't watch it. I didn't really care. I got the Spark Notes from my friends. And he basically just had receipts of Young LA stealing their customer information and all the emails and stuff like that. But then you have to think, like, Brad, why the hell did you give him your customer list? Like, you were competing companies. I don't care if you're at the same manufacturer. But he goes on this massive rant, like this homophobic person is
Giordani goes on this rant.
Horrible rant. Makes no sense. He's like, they're copying us, so we have to stop them there. I'm ready for war. I want to kill someone in my lifetime and sleep all good at night. They're a bunch of bundle of sticks, and then rips the F slur.
Saying insane things to put on the internet.
I was almost going to say, you mentioned Andrew Tate, and I think that there was an effect that we saw where I think he wanted to really hang himself on the I'll say what no one else will say.
Yeah,
as if it's
shock value.
Yeah, yeah. And my question to you was, okay, so you're familiar with it, obviously. And for people who aren't familiar with it, basically there was a controversial video where an influencer, a well-known influencer, basically just said some things that you're not supposed to say on the internet.
Like a 20-minute rant.
Like the obvious things. So think of the words that you shouldn't say on the internet, especially in June. And then say that. And then also then say, I own it. And I'm cool with the fact that I'm saying that. And posting it in a heinous way or an angry way.
And double down and triple down and quadruple down on his statements and never apologized once and said he felt free after he said those statements.
I almost feel like, so I might have an interesting take on this. I don't know. I think I almost appreciate they double down on it more because it means that he's really an idiot.
Well, it's the culture. If you double down, you won't get canceled. It's nowadays you can't get canceled. The internet attention spans are so short. If you double down, you just build a stronger audience. You may lose the mainstream,
but then people forget, right?
Yeah, and not just forget. You just build a stronger audience of neo-Nazis.
And more loyal people. They've almost trauma bonded with you. They were like, yeah, I was with him when that happened. I was a big fan of his, clearly, because I supported him no matter what.
Also, he's attracting very strong-minded people, like neo-Nazi type of mindsets, and those people ride or die with people.
How interesting. So my question to you, for people that want to, let's say, find themselves in cahoots with clothing brands, supplement brands, and really cultivate a following, what have you found to be for yourself? Because we've seen like either this guy has, I either don't know, like he's gonna have people that agree with him and be like, he said what I wanted to say, but they're really just it's kind of a clump of assholes.
He gained 3,000 followers after.
He gained 3,000 followers after. I mean, I don't doubt that. We just said it earlier. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Like the guy got out there, and he probably got some people who wanted to say that. Not probably within the same room temp IQ.
That's what I'm saying. He attracted neo-Nazis.
Yeah, with where. And I know you can't speak on behalf of Echo Vision, obviously, in the sense of like, yes, one thing that will always get me really it's kind of funny is where brands will go, we do not condone any homophobic. Oh, thanks for letting me know. Like I just assumed, okay, I was really 50-50 on whether you guys were or not. But for you, in terms of where you see yourself with Echo Vision and what's happening with Echo Vision has started, and I'm not even a part of it. I've just seen you guys be part of it. Echo Vision started, if I'm not mistaken, also on social media. Because of social media. The owner, MTS, who I've had one conversation with, you guys are way more communicative with him because you guys work with him. From what I can tell, dude is the most humble person I've ever seen in my entire life. As a supplement and clothing brand CEO and owner and founder, he's like the most humble guy ever. He texted me and was like, hey, it's Yusuf. Oh, hey, it's MTS. I own a supplement company. I'm like, bro, that's humble as shit. Like you run it. like you don't own a supplement company. Like you own Echo Vision. Like this brand started from nothing on TikTok. For brands that want to begin to find their place in fitness within social media, maybe a niche. I know this is a long-winded question. I don't even know what my question is. I had it. It changed 3 times in my head. But for brands to, I don't want to say latch on to controversial topics and make a banger off of this, or get like an obvious like, yeah, we knew Young and Louis was bad. We need one reason to say why Young and Louis was bad. How do you say? How would you feel like? I don't even know what my question is. Never mind. You know what?
I'll
Never
just go
mind.
on what I think you're like. So Echovision, they started with a lot of drama, and they recruited athletes that would just take the brand deal. They would just take it, and I think M understood that was a mistake in the past, but Echo's because of them. Like, we have a pre-workout called Drama, and it was our number one seller, and it still is, and it was built off the controversy
It's
of
called drama.
because there was a lot of drama surrounding Echovision. So he made it a brand, and he made a pre-workout called Drama, and it's actually our still number one seller. And people don't know the backstory on that. And so he knows that was bad. And I actually didn't want to join Echovision because of how immature their athletes were.
Mhm.
And I thought, hey, you have literally the best science-backed product on the market. We need to market it better. You're having kids market this brand. You need to market it better. And M is the best boss, the best human I've ever spoke to. Like, legitimately the best dude I know.
Incredible guy.
Incredible. And I'm not even saying this because I'm working with him.
Super humble.
I talked to him for months before I joined, and he genuinely listened to me. And as an owner of a mega million company, you don't see that. You just don't see that. And so he took what I said extremely to heart, listened. And I said, I don't feel comfortable joining a brand with this reputation. I love your product. I use your product daily. I just don't feel comfortable with that. And he made a decision to make Echovision a lot more professional and handpicked athletes. So he cut the affiliate program, which is thousands of people, off just what I said. And I was like, holy crap, this guy's different. Like, this guy's genuinely different. He is so willing to adapt to anything. This is bound for success. So he did that. And after I joined, he said, like, hey, if you find someone that you want to join, do it. And I recruited like my buddies that I love, like Marcus Fit, you guys. Like, I picked people that are educational, good human beings, and would represent the brand well. Because M is building the brand on good people now. And it has changed Echo drastically for the better. And M is just like such a kind soul because he treats his athletes differently than any other brand I've been with. I've been with the top brands, been in the game for so long. I've been with those guys that people fantasize being with. This is so different.
Pause.
This is different. He will never go on Amazon, and that would affect me and Mike.
Big
If
time.
he was on Amazon, they wouldn't use our code. Amazon's always bound to be cheaper. Bezos got a monopoly. He won't go on Amazon. He intentionally is losing revenue for his athletes because he knows that athletes are what built the brand early on. Wow. And he never lost sight of that, even after success.
Pretty cool.
He also adds these extra benefits for these athletes I've never even heard of. And it's like, you have input. You get to bring your own you get to make your own protein. And he's doing that out of his own pocket purely because he's like, you guys built this for me. I want to give back. And it's like, holy crap. Who doesn't want to resonate with this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you kidding me? And he won't ever make a bad product. He'll make a product with zero margins, like our creatine. Like, who does that?
Nobody on the market.
We're the cheapest creatine, and it tastes phenomenal. And he has the most science-backed pre-workouts, and he'll say it tastes like crap. Like, this pre-workout, I'm telling you guys, it's purely for performance. It doesn't taste good. It will be the number one seller because he'll say, I'm being upfront, guys. I'm not going to BS you. This is science-backed as the best pre-workout on the market. It's even overdosed on some things. Buy it if you want. It's like $70 for our most stacked. It's like our second bestseller, and $70 for pre-workout.
And it converted me from a don't take pre-workout, you don't need to buy it. Saltwater black coffee's fine. And then I started taking Outcast, and I was like, what is this? I feel incredible.
It's literally, it's like I was saying before, people doing high volume to high intensity training. It's the same effect of supplements. He has the best sleep aid on the market. Andrew Huberman would literally freak out seeing this market. He'd be like,
Andrew Huberman would nut to this for sure.
He would say, how are you guys selling it for so cheap? Because he doesn't care about margins. He made this product because he wanted people to have a pre-workout that he would take because he was a nerd about the literature and he made a product off it.
Yeah.
You know how crazy that is?
He's a rare find as a human being, and a lot of people ask me why I left Legion because it was made like from an alignment standpoint. I seemed like a Legion guy. Peer-reviewed studies on the website. It's very clean, minimal branding, very established. And Echo, they're just so new. They're 18 months old at this point, and they've just got a few products: pre-workouts, sleep aid, multivitamin. But I saw what he was trying to do, and you explained to me, M is very serious about bringing on older, more mature,
That's his whole objective.
more together creators that add value to people's lives. And like, I feel like we're here at the start of like he's building something huge.
It's like a revolution.
Yeah, it's just in its infancy right now.
Well, it's changing because other brands, M made the creatine so cheap. Other brands lowered their margins substantially because M's like, I don't care. Like,
crazy.
I'm going to sell it for this. And not to name companies, but a very big company I was with in the past, if people know me, they lowered their creatine prices by like $10. And it's still half the servings and we're still cheaper. It's like $28 for 30 servings. It's like, dude, why are you even like thinking of this?
It's crazy.
It's like you get a whole gallon of creatine for $20, dude. It's like, what?
It's unheard of now. It's like what creatine was in 2016.
And I think people are starting to resonate that because we have such a strong audience. They buy every drop we have because they know M's reputation and authenticness that he'll be like, hey, this doesn't taste great, but let me tell you, it works.
Mhm.
And then he'll be like, this one tastes a lot better. It's not as stacked. So you can pick and choose. Like my pre-workout that's dropping, it's going to be $34.99 for 30 servings or like $60 for 60 servings or something like that. And it's still ethically dosed on pump formula and focus. And there's an ingredient that he's given me the blessing of using that practically no one in the market has. I still haven't revealed it yet, but he's letting me do that. And he's like, I'm just letting you know, like the margin will not be great. Is that okay with you? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, it'll taste a lot better though, because it's not as dosed as Riabolic or something like that. I'm like, yeah, you're chilling, dude. He's like, just make the pre that you want, and I'll figure a way out to make it slightly profitable. I'm like, you're just the man.
That's amazing.
It's just, and then like for example, if you guys use what's your code?
HU.
If you guys use code HU more, he'll make a magnesium supplement because right when he hits the threshold, it's still a business at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Right when he hits the threshold, you'll see a Mike supplement on the market, efficaciously dosed by Mike.
Literally unheard of. Like no supplement companies are getting that buy-in from the athlete.
And he gets something extra because he hit that threshold, and he just treats his athletes that ride or die with Echo.
Yeah, he lets people have the opportunity to make a splash and make a difference and do what they want to do to help people. And that was a big reason I signed. Was like I saw an opportunity that just wasn't there with Legion. Why would it be?
Well, just like I just don't understand how he's such a kind soul. I don't understand how he's so successful because you have to burn bridges to be that successful. I feel like, and he hasn't burnt those
Everyone
bridges.
loves him.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a single negative thing about this man. My past sponsor would only talk crap about him, and I was scared to join. And I talked to him. I go, what was this guy saying? He was just so insecure and intimidated by M's presence.
Yeah.
All he could do is talk crap. M doesn't say bad things about anyone.
Nobody.
It's
Unbelievable guy.
It's unreal. So I really like that you asked that because he doesn't get enough love.
So my question made sense then.
Yeah.
So Dylan knew what you were trying to ask without asking it.
And so I think he deserves a lot more love than he gets and a lot more recognition than he gets because he intentionally doesn't toot his own horn because he's so goddamn humble.
For sure.
And people need to gas him up more. He deserves it.
If you guys want to support a supplement company that may not have all the exact products you need, but really wants to have all those products, use code OB or code HU, or just go buy products.
Use code HU so he can make his own magnesium.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, fuck your code, pal.
Yeah, I'm already doing well. I got my protein pre and shorts and pump cover. I got all my things dropping, man.
Fuck so, yeah, you're doing just fine.
Thank you, man. Yeah, use code HU and hopefully code Yusuf soon. And so he can make some magnesium and some cool products for you guys that are holistic.
I'm going to make meth for everyone.
Some Mike Messer type shit.
Some of that pre-workout feels like meth. Well, dude, we're at probably an hour and 40 now, man. Thank you for coming on.
It was great talking.
Why don't you go ahead and plug yourself? Where can the people find you? What are your socials?
Damn, dude, I don't know it like that.
You don't know your usernames?
No, dude. I mean,
I know your usernames.
It's
like Dylan O'Brien 66 or something like that.
Yeah, Instagram's Dylan O'Brien 66. TikTok something.
Father Del.
No,
right?
Code OB.
You go to
Code OB.
Code OB.
Yeah, if you go to either of our followings on Instagram and just type Dylan, you'll find that we follow him.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
follow him.
I also daily upload on YouTube. I'm very proud of that. That's my proudest work right now is my YouTube channel, which is Dylan O'Brien. You probably won't
How
pop
many
up.
subs you got?
80 something.
80,000.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, no casual.
No, just 80, bro.
Yeah.
80000.
I think I hit 85K today, actually. So
Fuck yeah.
yeah,
Congratulations.
I've been really happy about it. Thank you guys. Yeah, been
If
really
you
working
want-
on it.
If you want a really reliable source of science-based nutrition and training content, or a really great custom-tailored coach, go check out Dylan. Thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah,
an
it's a
absolute
great conversation.
pleasure.
It's a great time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First
Thank you.
guest, man. Big
Yeah.
honor.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thank you. No, it was a great time. This is great.
Thanks for listening, guys. We will see you in episode 16.
See ya.
Peace.